My garbage person of the week is gonna have to be Jeanine Pirro, who is like trying to participate in the conquering of DC, but is getting like flipped the bird by the people of DC in a way that I think is hilarious. See, she's going out there with all of her troops or whatever, and they're like trying to put their like iron boot on the neck of DC residents, and they're scooping up all these people for explicitly political reasons. And then they're taking them to grand juries and they're trying to get indictments so they can lock them up for the rest of their life for like being Democrats or whatever. And what I love is that in many of these cases, the grand juries are like, no, we're not giving you an indictment, making her look like a big old dumb donkey. And so what you need to understand for context before we get into the specifics is that federal grand juries return indictments in the overwhelming majority of cases, literally 99.9% they do the indictment, because the prosecution controls every aspect of the proceedings while the defendant has no opportunity to object or present their case. But despite that, in just the last couple of weeks, 5 grand juries have refused to indict individuals facing persecution by the Trump administration, which is statistically impossible. And so let's jump into some of the specifics. So you have Sean Dunn. He's the hero who threw the Subway sandwich at one of the occupying forces, yelling, "F you, you effing fascist. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city." So she charged him with felony assault on law enforcement, and the grand jury was like, "Get the hell out of here, Jeanine Pirro." So that didn't happen. You have Sydney Lori Reed. According to police, she placed herself between immigration agents and an individual who they were attempting to arrest. Reed apparently forcefully pushed one agent's arm, prompting prosecutors to charge her with felony assault on law enforcement. But a grand jury said no to that, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that, I mean, that's a serious crime too, pushing an arm. That's like Representative Maxine Waters level of assault right there. Anyway, you have Alvin Summers, who was pulled over near the National Mall. They said that Summers tried to speed walk away from them and charged him with felony offense of resisting or impeding federal law enforcement. The grand jury was like, "Get the hell out of there." And then you have Natalie Rose Jones, who traveled to DC to protest Trump at the White House. Jones consented to a search, had no weapons, and attested that she sought to demonstrate peacefully. But then they tried to charge her anyway with the felony offense of threatening the president because she referred to him as a terrorist. And thankfully, again, the grand jury was like, hell no, we're not indicting her as a terrorist or whatever for that. And so I love it. And in particular, I love that Jeanine Pirro looks like a goober as a result of this, and that she's stewing over it. So she recently put out a statement saying, "The system here is broken on so many levels." Sorry, I can't really do an impersonation of her. I sound really sober right now, so I'm not selling the Jeanine Pirro of it all. But she says, instead of the outrage that should be engendered by a specific threat to kill the president, the grand jury in DC refuses to even let the judicial process begin. Justice should not depend on politics. And I agree with that, but she doesn't believe that. They're just going around trying to arrest Democrats. So thank you to the grand juries of DC, you are true heroes. Any thoughts, Trey?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what it's going to take is things like this. I think people, taking power where they can or refusing to play along with this crap whenever possible. Because it's like you said, there's old cliche that I don't know anything about. I'm very law dumb. I don't know anything about law stuff, but I know that there's a cliche that people say you can indict a ham sandwich or whatever, as you noted. Like they almost never don't. Grand juries almost never don't indict. In these circumstances, and now it's happening over and over again because that's just how egregiously stupid these cases are, and the good people of DC, see right through it. Now, of course, I don't know how that would go everywhere in this country. It's probably pretty dependent upon location, but it is funny and pleasant to see it happening to someone like Jeanine Pirro in this case.
Yeah, look, I hope the same thing happens in New Orleans. I hope it happens in LA and Chicago, wherever they go. I hope, look, if people commit real crimes, then sure, indict them or whatever. But if this is just like he threw a sandwich at me because he hates fascism, then you can let him go. And grand juries can do this. There's also, obviously, there's the concept of jury nullification, which could potentially pop up in a prominent case sometime in the next year or two.
Right, yep.
We'll see, we'll see. Anyway, those are our garbage people of the week. Well, 63,000 of you voted in our poll for the community garbage person of the week. 2% voting for Meghan McCain for attacking Greta Thunberg's hair. 13% voted for Trump for ignoring rising crime in Republican states. 27% voted for Stephen Miller for wanting Dems labeled as an extremist organization. But your winner with 58% of the vote, Community Guard Person of the Week, is Mike Johnson for trying to block a vote on the Epstein petition. Thank you to the many of you who voted. But let's get rid of the negativity and now talk about our hero of the week. 67,000 of you voted. 3% going to Graham Plattner for attacking tax dollars going to bombing Gaza. We're trying to get the candidate on the show. We've thus far been unsuccessful, but great statements there. 6% went to Bernie Sanders for calling for RFK Jr. to resign. 7% to Greta Thunberg for trying to provide aid to Gaza on a flotilla. 84% though, this was not close, went to the Epstein survivors for speaking out and slamming the cover up. I couldn't agree more, and thank you to everybody who voted.